Hello students, good evening. Hope all of you are well. I hope you have seen the last two videos I have given based on complex number on behalf of DP Education Society. In those videos, I have discussed few basic level properties of complex number, and in the last video, video number 2, in the last phase, I have introduced the term Euler's theorem. What is that? Let us recall our memory. Okay, so let's start complex number. See, we know polar form of a complex number is z is equal to r cos theta plus I sin theta. What is the significance of r and theta? You know, r is mod z and theta argument of z. What is the principal value of argument of z or theta? That already I had explained. Now, last day I told you that by Euler's theorem, we get e to the power I theta means cos theta plus I sin theta. So instead of this value, I can write r e to the power I theta. Now you take nth power to both sides. Nth power to both sides. If you take nth power in both sides, then what happens in right hand side? This power n is the power of r as well as e to the power I theta. So z to the power n will become r to the power n e to the power I n theta. Why? By the laws of exponent, power will be multiplied. Now, as e to the power I theta is cos theta plus I sin theta, then e to the power I n theta is cos n theta plus I sin n theta. Okay, so from Euler's theorem, I can get the representation of complex number in this manner. So z to the power n, we have got r to the power n cos n theta plus I sin n theta. Now what to be noticed? That the power n has become the multiple of theta. So in place of a z, you put the polar form. Z is what? R cos theta plus I sin theta whole to the power n. That has become r to the power n cos n theta I sin n theta, where n is either positive or negative integer or positive or negative fraction. Okay, so positive or negative integer or positive or negative fraction. Hope you understood. So you see, polar form of the complex number is z r cos theta plus I sin theta, where r is equal to mod z, theta is equal to argument of z. Now Last day we got e to the power I theta cos theta plus I sin theta. Then z is equal to r. Instead of these, you put e to the power I theta. That is called Euler's form, Euler's theorem. Z is equal to r e to the power I theta. Now I am taking nth power to both sides. Z to the power n, r e to the power I theta whole to the power n. This z to the power n will remain, and this n is the power of r as well as e to the power I n theta. Now, as e to the power I theta is cos theta plus I sin theta, so e to the power I n theta will be cos n theta plus I sin n theta. So z to the power n has become cos n theta plus I sin n theta. Z is what? Z is r cos theta plus I sin theta whole to the power n. So r to the power n cos n theta plus I sin n theta, where n is positive or negative integer or positive or negative fraction. Okay, so this theorem is called de Moivre's theorem. De Moivre's theorem. Okay, means in a polar form, if you get power n of a complex number, then that n will become the multiple of theta. Hope you understood. Hope you understood. Okay, so I'm rubbing. So, therefore, by de Moivre's theorem, de Moivre's theorem, we get what? Z to the power n means r to the power n cos theta plus I sin theta whole to the power n, and that n will become the multiple of theta. N will become the multiple of theta. This thing that de Moivre's theorem states us. So if you put z square, say z is equal to r square cos r cos theta plus I sin theta. So if you take square in both sides, then you will get cos theta plus I sin theta whole square. In this case, you need not have to square it. Once you come to know the de Moivre's theorem, then directly you can write 2 as the multiple of theta. R square cos 2 theta plus I sin 2 theta. I sin 2 theta. So de Moivre's theorem helps us to write the power as the multiple of theta. Okay, hope you understood. An important property, de Moivre's theorem, the important property of complex number. From this de Moivre's theorem, I can inherit few important formulas. See, what formulas? See, Z R cos theta plus I sin theta. Okay. Now we know argument of Z is equal to theta. That already worked out. Now once you get the de Moivre's theorem, Z to the power n, R to the power n cos n theta plus I sin n theta, then argument of Z to the power n is what? This angle n theta. Okay, argument of Z to the power n is n theta. Now theta is what? Argument of Z, n argument of Z. So this gives us a result. Therefore, argument of Z to the power n is nothing but n argument of Z. This is an important property. Important property, must note down. So if I put, instead of n, if I put -1, argument of z to the power -1, in place of n, I am replacing -1. So this n also be replaced by -1. That gives you z, argument of z to the power -1 plus argument of z is equal to 0. Another result is inherited. Hope you understood. Just go through at a glance. So from de Moivre's theorem, see, again I am explaining, if you get the polar form z r cos theta plus I sin theta, then argument of z is theta. Once you get argument of z theta, then take the power in both sides. Z to the power n, okay, r to the power n, okay, but the power n will become multiple of theta using de Moivre's theorem. De Moivre's theorem. So what is the argument of z to the power n? N theta. N argument of z. Theta means argument of z. So what result we have got? Argument of z to the power n is equal to n argument of z. Now in place of n, I have replaced -1. Then here also I will replace -1. So that -1 argument of z will be brought in left hand side, and you will get a new result. Argument of z -1, z to the power -1 plus argument of z is equal to 0. Hope you have no problem. Okay, so I'm rubbing this part. I'm going to skip to the new topic. Now, let us take 2 points. Take 2 points in complex plane. One is Z1, R1 cos theta 1, I sin theta 1. And Z2, that is R2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2. Okay. Now you multiply these two. Multiply these two. So simple multiplication. Z1 into Z2. So multiply this by this. Normal multiplication. I will just multiply and open the bracket. See, R1 R2 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1 into cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2. Okay. Now simple multiply. Simple multiply using distributive property. R1 R2. See, cos theta 1 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1 cos theta 2 plus I into I square sin theta 1 sin theta 2. Okay, so it is a straight multiplication. Now, in place of I square, you put -1. That will give you what you see. Cos theta 1, cos theta 2. Instead of this, you put -1, and that will become real. And put the real part in one bracket. Put the real part in one bracket. And keep the imaginary part isolated. I sin theta 2 cos theta 1 plus sin theta 1 cos theta 2. Okay, so after multiplication, in place of I square, I have put -1. So cos theta 1 cos theta 2 minus sin theta 1 sin theta 2. The real part I have got, and from the rest I can take I common. that is the imaginary part. So what formula does it remind? What formula does it refer? Sorry, cos A cos B minus sin A sin B, cos A plus B. And what formula does this thing refer? Sin A plus B. So one conclusion I can draw. What conclusion I can draw? What conclusion? You see, Z1 and Z2 are 2 points in polar form, and once I multiply, see the angle θ1 and θ2 in result, in resultant θ1 and θ2 has come in additive form. See, θ1 and cos θ1 I sin θ1, cos θ2 I sin θ2 is multiplied, and in the result we have got additive form of this angle. Okay, so it is, I have got this thing for 2 points. If you wish, you can take 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, up to n number of points, any number of points. In each case, see, angles will be in additive form. Understand? Okay, let's see. So if you take n number of points, see, n number of points, so Z1, Z2, Z3 up to Zn means R1, R2, R3 up to Rn, and in the result you will get the additive form of the angle, cos θ1, θ2 up to θn plus I sin θ1, θ2 up to θn. Okay, so what we have observed, in case of multiplication of 2 points in complex plane given in polar form, then angle will be added. Angle will be expressed by its additive form. Hope you understood. So I'm wrapping this part. So you have got de Moivre's theorem, and you have got the product of 2 or more than 2 points in a complex plane, and the representation of the angle in additive form. So till now we have got what? We have got de Moivre's theorem. If Z is equal to cos theta plus I sin theta, Z to the power n or to the power n cos n theta plus I sin n theta. We have got this property now, where n is positive or negative integer, n is positive or negative integer or fraction. So de Moivre's theorem gives us, and we have got this result also. Suppose n points are given in polar form, and if you multiply, then that will give you R1, Z1, Z2, Z3 up to Zn, R1, R2, R3 up to Rn, cos θ1, θ2 up to θn, plus I sin θ1, θ2 up to θn. So let us bring one example which involves both. See, the sum which I am going to do is totally unpredictable. When looking at a glance, hardly you can understand that sum involves these 2 formulas. Looking at a glance, it will be seen to you the sum of a trigonometry. Obviously, the sum will be given in trigonometrical expression, but actually that is the application of de Moivre's theorem, and the product of n number of points given in polar form in complex plane. Let's see. Say, one point given. See, the sum is cos alpha. One example I am doing, which involves these two properties. Cos alpha plus cos beta plus cos gamma is equal to 0, and sin alpha plus sin beta plus sin gamma is equal to 0. Prove that cos 3 alpha, cos 3 beta, cos 3 gamma is equal to 3 cos alpha plus beta plus gamma. This is the sum. So if you get the sum on a sudden moment, it will seem to you a trigonometrical problem, but actually it involves de Moivre's theorem and product of 8 points in a polar form in complex plane. See how. I am letting you let A is equal to cos alpha plus I sin alpha. Cos alpha plus I sin alpha. Then cos alpha plus I sin alpha. B is equal to cos beta plus I sin beta, and C is equal to cos gamma I sin gamma. Now if I add it, see, you add, you will get a result A plus B plus C, and in complex number addition you are already taught all real parts will be added. Cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma plus I sin alpha, sin beta, sin gamma. So you see, cos alpha plus cos beta plus cos gamma given in the question 0, and sin alpha plus sin beta plus sin gamma is also given 0. So A plus B plus C has become 0. Now one basic property of yesteryears has to be recalled. What is that? See, in class 8 level, you are taught one property: A cube plus B cube plus C cube minus thrice ABC is equal to A plus B plus C into A square plus B square plus C square minus AB minus BC minus C. Now, few minutes back, we have got the result A plus B plus C is equal to 0. A plus B plus C is equal to 0. So you put 0 over here. So 0 into A square plus B square plus C square minus AB minus BC minus C. So whole thing will become 0, and you will get A cube plus B cube plus C cube minus CABC is equal to 0. Okay. Now your job is to put. Now your job is to put the value of ABC which you have assumed. In place of A, you write cos alpha plus I sin alpha whole cube. In place of B, cos beta plus I sin beta whole cube. In place of C, cos gamma plus I sin gamma whole cube. And see that 3ABC you shift to the right hand side. You write in place of A, cos alpha plus I sin alpha. into cos beta plus I sin beta into cos gamma plus I sin gamma. So this result you are getting by putting the values in cos alpha plus I sin alpha. You put in place of A, cos beta plus I sin beta, put in place of B, cos gamma plus I sin gamma, put in place of C, and that's thrice ABC which you are shifting to right hand side. In place of A you are putting this, in place of B you are putting this, and you are in place of C you are putting this. So up to this stage, no problem, I think. So that part, this part, I'm going to rub because it becomes clumsy, untidy in that case if you don't rub. I hope you understood this part. So I'm rubbing. So here, cos alpha plus I sin alpha whole cube, follow the De Moivre's theorem. This 3 will become the multiple of alpha. This 3 will become the multiple of beta. This 3 will become the multiple of gamma. So that will give you 3 cos 3 alpha plus I sin 3 alpha plus cos 3 beta I sin 3 beta plus cos 3 gamma plus I sin 3 gamma is equal to, you see, few minutes back I told you that if you multiply n complex number in polar form, then the angle of those complex number will be in additive form in the result. So here 3 complex number of polar form are multiplied, so angle will be added. You will get the representation of the angle in additive form. 5 cos alpha plus beta plus gamma plus I sin alpha plus beta plus gamma. So by using De Moivre's theorem, I have got this result, and using the product form of complex number in polar form, I have got this result. Now your job is to separate real part and imaginary part and compare. See, real part cos 3 alpha, cos 3 beta, cos 3 gamma will be put together. Cos 3 beta, cos 3 gamma plus I sin 3 alpha, sin 3 beta, sin 3 gamma is equal to 3 cos alpha plus beta plus gamma, I 3 sin alpha plus beta plus gamma. Understood? Now you compare the like terms in both sides. Real part is equal to real part, imaginary part is equal to imaginary part. We have no business with the imaginary part. If I compare the real part, I will get the answer. Comparing, we get cos 3 alpha, cos 3 beta, cos 3 gamma, thrice cos alpha plus beta plus gamma, hence proved. So this is one good example and conceptual example of De Moivre's theorem and the product rule of complex number in polar form. Just go through at a glance, then I will rub it. I hope you understood. It is a good conceptual question. Okay, so I'm rubbing. So from this product rule of complex numbers in polar form, we can derive another property related to argument. What is that? You see, Z1 R1 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1. Already the polar form we have got. Z2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2. So if I multiply Z1 and Z2, I will get the additive form of these two angles. Already we are taught cos theta 1 plus theta 2 plus I sin theta 1 plus theta 2. So if you are told to choose argument of Z1, Z2, this is the argument theta 1 plus theta 2. Now theta 1 is what? Argument of Z1. You see, argument of Z1 is theta 1 and argument of Z2 is theta 2. So theta 1 plus theta 2, that means instead of theta 1 you put argument of Z1 and instead of theta 2 argument of Z2. So you have got argument of Z1 Z2 is equal to argument of Z1 plus argument of Z2. Hope you understood. And the same manner, argument of similarly argument of Z1 by Z2 is equal to argument of Z1 minus argument of Z2. Okay, these are two important properties. You please note down. Hope you understood. So, Ravi. Now, Z1 is equal to R1 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1. You have come to know. Now, Z2 is what? R2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2. Now add them. You are quite familiar with this type of addition now. Z1 plus Z2, real part will be added with real part. R1 cos theta 1, R2 cos theta 2 plus I R1 sin theta 1, R2 sin theta 2. So this is the addition of two complex numbers in polar form. Now you take its magnitude. Mod Z1 plus Z2. That means this is considered as X and this thing is considered as Y. So you write R1 cos theta 1, R2 cos theta 2 whole square plus R1 sin theta 1, R2 sin theta 2 whole square. Understand? Open the bracket with A plus B whole square. Open the bracket with A plus B whole square. How to open A plus B whole square, you know? See, R1 square cos square theta 1, R2 square cos square theta 2 plus 2 R1 R2 cos theta 1 cos theta 2 plus R1 square sin square theta 1, R2 square sin square theta 2 plus 2 R1 R2 sin theta 1 sin theta 2. So you have to club the terms now in proper way. See, if I take this and this part in a bracket, that will give you only R1 square. Why? Cos square theta 1 plus sin square theta 1 is 1. So I can write R1 square cos square theta 1 plus sin square theta 1 plus R2 square cos square theta 2 plus sin square theta 2 plus 2 r1 or 2 cos theta 1 cos theta 2 plus sin theta 1 sin theta 2. Okay, see r1 square, I have clubbed r1 square cos theta 1 r1 square sin theta 1 in a bracket, r2 square cos theta 2 r2 square sin square theta 2 in a bracket, and from the raised 2 r1 r2 I have taken common. What will remain in the bracket? Cos theta 1 cos theta 2 plus sin theta 1 sin theta 2. Okay, hope you understood. Not that much of toughness you are getting, I think. It's so simple. So I can write mod z1 plus z2 is equal to mod z1 plus z2 is equal to the square root of r1 square r2 square. See, here you got 2 r1 r2 cos a cos b plus sin a sin b form. So that form should be placed here. 2 r1 r2 into cos a minus b. Now, what conclusion I can draw from this result? What conclusion I can draw from this result? We know cos theta 1 minus theta 2's range is +1 to -1, and with cos theta 1 minus theta 2 I have had a coefficient to r1 r2. So to bring that, to use this result, 2 r1 r2 will be introduced in middle term, in extreme right, in extreme left. Now, with 2 r1 r2 cos theta 1 minus theta 2, we have to introduce r1 square and r2 square also. So introduce that in middle term, extreme right, extreme left. First you add this thing in middle term. r1 square, r2 square, 2 r1 r2, extreme right and extreme left. Hope you understood. Now, to use this result, I need to introduce square root in middle term, extreme right, extreme left. r1 square, r2 square, 2 r1 r2 less than equal to square root of r1 square, r2 square, 2 r1 r2 cos theta 1 minus theta 2. See, becomes clumsy. r1 square, r2 square plus 2 r1 r2 cos theta 1 minus theta 2 less than equal to square root of r1 square, r2 square plus 2 r1 r2. What about this result? It's a simple result a minus b whole square, and square root of this will give you r1 minus r2. Instead of this, what should I write? Mod z1 plus z2. Instead of this, r1 plus r2. But problem is that in extreme left, r1 instead of r1 minus r2, I could have written r2 minus r1 subject to the value of r1 and r2. If r2 is greater than r1, then r2 minus r1. If r1 is greater than r2, r1 minus r2. So better you put a modulus sign. Now, what is R1? That you know, Z1 is equal to this thing means R1 is equal to mod Z1 and R2 is equal to mod Z2. So instead of R1, I will put mod Z1, mod Z2 whole mod less than equal to mod Z1 plus Z2 less than equal to mod Z1 plus mod Z2. So this is the max value. This is the mean value of mod Z1 plus Z2. This is one important result you must keep in your mind. You must remember it. We have get its application. Okay, hope you understood. So what we have got here, again I'm explaining, we are choosing 2 points Z1 and Z2 in polar form. R1 cos theta 1 I sin theta 1, Z2 R2 cos theta 2 I sin theta 2, but R1 is equal to mod Z1, R2 is equal to mod Z2. Z1 plus Z2 we have added, then polar addition of complex number, you know, addition of complex number, this one. Addition of complex number, real part will be added with real part and imaginary part will be added with imaginary part. See, that has been done. Now its magnitude is what? This is considered as x, this is considered as y. So you have got what? See, x square plus y square root over. Open it with a plus b whole square. Open it with a plus b whole square. R1 square cos square theta 1, R2 square cos square theta 2, R1 square cos square theta 1 and sin square theta 1 are clubbed in a bracket. R2 square cos square theta 2 and sin square theta 2 is clubbed in a bracket. And 2R1 and 2 from the remaining part taken common, you have got a cos A plus cos A cos B plus sin A sin B form. Now, from this place you shift to this place. See, this part is 1, so only R1 square. This part is 1, so only R2 square, and this part cos A cos B plus sin A sin B cos A minus B. Now, we are using the range of cos theta 1 minus theta 2 lies between plus 1 to minus 1. See, cos theta 1 minus theta 2 lies between minus 1 to plus 1. So you multiply middle term by 2 R1 R2, extreme right by 2 R1 R2, extreme left by 2 R1. Now to use this result, you add R1 square plus R2 square in middle term, extreme right, extreme left, and put root sign on the top. That will give you root of R1 minus R2 whole square. That means it will be either R1 minus R2 or R2 minus R1. To avoid that confusion, put a mod square. This is nothing but mod Z1 plus Z2, and this is R1 plus R2. Instead of R1, put mod Z1 because you got that result earlier. Instead of R2, put mod Z2, mod Z1, mod Z2. So mod Z1 plus mod Z2 has maximum values, minimum values. Okay, hope you understand. I'm rubbing this part. So, few minutes back, we have got this result, mod Z1 plus Z2 less than equal to mod Z1 plus mod Z2 greater than equal to mod of mod Z1 minus mod Z2. Let us use this. Let us see its application. See, the sum is if mod Z minus 4 by Z is equal to 2. Z minus 4 minus Z is equal to 2. Then maximum value of mod Z is option A 2 plus root 2, option B root 3 plus 1, option C, root 5 plus 1, and option D, 2. Now, how to pursue this sum? We are told to find the maximum value of z, means the interval of z, mod z is asked, and we are provided this result. So let us start with mod z. Instead of mod z, you write, somehow I have to use this, and we are aware of this formula, so you write mod z minus 4 by z plus 4 by z. Okay, no problem in writing that. Now put this thing in a bracket, this thing in a bracket, considering this thing as z1 and this thing as z2. So I can use this property. This property I can use that mod z1 plus z2, mod z1 plus z2, this is considered z1, this is z2, less than equal to this property, mod z minus 4 by z plus mod 4 by z. So mod z less than equal to, this result is given what in the question? 2. 2 plus 4 by mod z. So our job is almost over. We are in the verge of conclusion. Cross multiply. Mod z square less than equal to 2 mod z plus 4. That gives us mod z whole square 2 mod z plus 1 less than equal to 5. That gives us what? Mod z minus 1 whole square minus root 5 whole square less than equal to 0. So mod z minus 1 plus root 5, mod z minus 1 minus root 5 less than equal to 0. Okay. Mod z minus 1 plus root 5, mod z minus 1 minus root 5. So that gives us mod z lies between root 5 plus 1, root 5 minus 1, root 5 plus 1, root 5 minus 1. See, mod z minus 1 plus root 5. Sorry, that better use. You don't have to skip this part. After this part, you write mod z. After this part, see 1 minus root 5 into mod z root 5 plus 1. By Weber method, you can write mod z lies between 1 minus root 5 plus 1. So what is the maximum value? Therefore, max mod z root 5 plus 1, and answer is option C. Option C is the correct answer. Understood the basic concept of this inequality? You are just taught. So if you go through different books, you will get so many applications of this formula, this inequality of complex number. Hope you understood. So in complex number, we have got de Moivre's theorem, application of de Moivre's theorem, and inequality of complex number we are taught. Hope you understood. So what is left? Cube root of unity is left. Cube root of unity is left. After that, you will have the property of nth root of unity and few extra property. Just some extra knowledge if you want to gain, like some geometrical problem of on complex number. If you wish, you can do. Later we'll discuss it. And in next video, I will give you the concept of cube root of unity and nth root of unity. Then the theoretical part of complex number apart from geometry, because see, coordinate geometry and vector and complex number have strong relation. So after completion of this theorem, if we do cube root of unity and nth root of unity, the theoretical part is related to the complex number will be over, but the relation between complex number and coordinate geometry and vector will be left, because for that you have to cover straight line, circle, parabola, hyperbola, all these chapters. These are also can be expressed. These things of coordinate geometry are also can be expressed using complex number. So that part will be discussed in later, but in complex number the basic knowledge will be covered up in next video fully. Okay, so whatever is taught today, I hope you understood. So in next video we'll meet again with more knowledge, more depth, and with more explanation and example. Till then, goodbye, have a good day, and next meet will be the best meet.